Why don't we get started? And just a reminder to anybody joining us today, we've got a giveaway. The highest gifter will also be receiving a free reading. So I wish you a lot of luck if you are participating in that giveaway as well. Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Grey Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, February 2nd, 2026. We are going to be doing a masculine, feminine, and non-binary energy update. We're going to be starting right now with masculine energy. We have a stray card that we're going to be utilizing to read for masculine that was sitting at the bottom of the Aquarian Tarot deck. We're going to be utilizing the Tarot of the Divine for the masculine headspace, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. We've got 3 cards out for masculine headspace. One is upright, the other 2 are covered. First card we are starting our day off with today is the 2 of Swords in its upright, in combination with our 2 of Cups in its upright, in combination with our 3, the Wheel of Fortune in its upright. A lot of 2 energy that we're currently seeing in the masculine headspace. And we don't mind seeing 2 energy when it comes to doing work in the realm of relationships. This is a lot of the work of the masculine that we see is gravitating into a lot of these world relationships, the recognition and understanding that the way that we effectively work to heal relationship is being able to effectively embody what we hope to seek to find in it, right? And this is effectively a lot of the masculine that we see is doing that important work in being able to heal from the lack space mentality by which we build lackluster relationships. I'm going to say that again. The lack mentality creates lackluster relationships. Why? Because the desire for the ineffable is effectively the result of not healing from the birth wound, right? We are effectively arrive here with a keening desire for something that we cannot name. And the reason we have that keening desire for something that we cannot name is that is what effectively keeps us sustained when we first arrive into experience, right? When we navigate the space by which we don't understand what we need, but we know that we need it desperately, where we actually scream for it, we recognize that this is the initial birth wound. And the hard part about this is we never effectively shed it entirely. The desire for the energetic ineffable also effectively connects us back to spirit. But when we recognize the quality and condition by which we experience that, we don't project that wound into our relationships, but we work to better understand ourselves through it. So a lot of the work that we see that the masculine is effectively doing with a lot of this heavy 2 energy is built upon and based upon the feeling of coming into a state or space of energetic stability, because it's a continuation of the understanding that when we find our energetic bliss, we bring that bliss into relationships. If you don't feel that sense of inner bliss, there's no relationship on the planet that's going to create it for you, because you're the person entering the relationship, right? If you're miserable outside a partnership, there isn't a single solitary relationship in experience that is going to remove that feeling of energetic misery. But that's why we work into the space of finding our energetic stability, because that stabilized experience allows the context of being able to amplify that feeling once we enter partnership. So I see a lot of the masculine energy that is working upon embodying that work. And I feel like a lot of it is energetically proportional. And this is why, right? This is why a lot of the masculine is doing a lot of work to reconnect to their emotions, right? And I like to see this right now because it's the continuation. And this is often what we see with Leo full moon and Aquarius energy. One of the difficulties that we often experience with Aquarian energy is the recognition point that it's far easier to learn how to disassociate than to be able to sit within the realms of the feelings. And disassociating is not strength, right? When we feel like we energetically disassociate, it feels like we can't navigate the full breadth of our emotions. And when we recognize that the best relationship you'll ever experience will make you feel things that you've never experienced before, then we understand that it is vital. It is absolutely necessary and vital to be able to sit it within one's emotions because that is what fortifies, right? That is what we mean by stoicism, right? The ability to effectively experience, like sit in the density of one's emotions and not let them energetically distort your own ability to function within them. But I keep on getting for a lot of this energy, it's heavy lifting. And it may even be like letting go and releasing frustration in experiences of the past that made the masculine feel that the only way that they could enter into their masculinity was if they were to disassociate from their emotions, right? That's the masculine that sees the understanding that masculinity is not about it's not about splitting, it's about coming into a holistic space, right? It's being able to feel the sum of the self and feeling energetically complete there. Now this brings us to feminine energy, and for feminine energy right now, in the headspace of feminine, whoop, we're going to definitely be using the Smith-Waite Centennial deck because one of these cards fell straight to the floor. It was the 3 of Wands in its upright in combination with, we've got here the Page of Cups in its upright. And we also have here the Strength card in its reversal. So what are we effectively seeing that's happening right now for feminine energy? We see, and I want to point this out, I like to see the connectivity point between a lot of 2s being in the masculine space and then immediately moving into 3s in the feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. This is a lot of the feminine energy that is working and continuing to do that important work and understanding what it means, being able to feel the sense of energetic stabilization in terms of feeling the confidence within the self, right? And this is a conversation on finding confidence as it relates to relationship. And I need to stress this. I feel like there's something really important for some of the feminine energy doing this work. And I think that a lot of it has to do, and it's interesting because I keep on getting that there's something happening in the feminine headspace via the point of context in recognizing the alienation that often feels that comes with being in a stable, healthy, grounded, energetic mentality. Right. And we talk about this. We have conversations in relationality to this. Like when you work towards healing yourself, prepare to be able to navigate solitude, right? Prepare to be in the space of being able to feel good with one's own energy. Because I keep on seeing that for a lot of the feminine energy, that ability or that understanding of feeling energetically good with ourselves or working through the space of feeling energetically balanced is letting go of the false premise, right? Letting go of the false premise of comparison, right? Because I keep on getting the universe, if love is active listening, then the universe is constantly paying attention to what it is that we're trying to achieve. So what happens in the modality by which we're trying to be perfect, right? If we look to a universe that's always active listening and we say to the universe, I want to be perfect, what is the universe going to deliver to us? Competition, right? It's the way that you effectively ask for things that allows the ability in terms of how you perceive it. So it's a continuation of being energetically conscientious in relationality to how we speak upon ourselves, because it's that continuation, it's that energetic vibration, the modality and the experience by which we are effectively energetically paying attention to what it is that we're energetically asking for will often frame the context of how it appears we energetically receive something. And this is why it's so important, right? This is why it's so important that we work towards our own exquisite, right? Because when we're working to understand ourselves more, we start to alleviate and to heal from the sense of energetic comparison. If you are unique, why would you ever be comparing yourself to anything, right? But often energy that wants you to effectively fit into a template will try to articulate comparison as the way to make one feel like one is not effectively coming towards oneself in the way that one expects. But this is why we see that ability to be able to effectively I keep on hearing finding the footing on the self, recognizing and understanding one's own energetic points of strength, right? I feel like this is beautiful because it's a lot of the feminine that works upon, right? And I keep on hearing they're working upon healing any controlling tendencies as it relates to moving towards manifestation goal and healthy relationship, because the work that we do when we move towards healthy manifestations is we understand and identify that the control that we're trying to achieve is the control within ourselves, right? The ability of effectively doing something and refining upon something in an even more beautiful way. And so I feel like that's beautiful because what I'm seeing here is almost feminine, not saying why aren't I perfect, but saying almost to the self, how can I be more beautiful in how I move towards a manifestation goal, right? How can I create that sense of energetic beauty? Because when we think about a manifestation as a flourishing process, then the modality that we effectively experience it isn't the modality by which we get frustrated and say, where is it? Why isn't it happening? But how can I make it grow, right? So we've got a lot of that energy there that's working through that, particularly and especially as it relates to relationship or healthy partnership. And this is why I see that this is a lot of the feminine energy that is getting better at articulating upon what it is that they're hoping to seek and find in partnership. This brings us to the non binary energy. And for the non binary energy right now, we are going to be utilizing. We're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego for the headspace of non binary energy right now. These cards. I just want to point something out right now. I have drawn these. You guys are watching me read. You guys are watching me read. All of the cards that we've started today's reading on have been on the floor, which I don't which I don't mind because that's what I'm not surprised to see that because here's the thing about it. Leo energy is dense stuff. It's very Aquarian is very light. Leo is very dense. I would not be surprised if you're dropping things or feel more slippery right now. Not realizing how heavy things are is also important right now. So again, don't be rushing through things right now. This is not the time to be rushing through things because it's like a little bit of energetic effort can go a long way. Not being heavy-handed. We've got here the 3 of Pentacles in its upright. We've got here and 2 more. That was the one. Okay, so we got a lot of 3 energy coming through again. We've also got the 7 of Pentacles in its upright. And we also have the 10 of Pentacles in its upright. So it's a lot of pentacle energy right now in non-binary. And I like to see, like, here's the thing. I don't mind seeing a lot of pentacle energy right now in the space of non-binary energy because I feel like there's something important that I see is happening right now for non-binary energy that says thoughts mean nothing without action, right? Like the idea is like the idea breathe is life is breathed into ideas through the context of activation, right? It's not enough to have the ideas, but the ability to effectively articulate and apply, right? I keep on hearing apply knowledge. And I think that this is really important. Why am I hearing the words applied knowledge to the non-binary headspace? Because I feel like this is energy that has often been hurt by philosophical relationship. And what do I mean by philosophical relationship? Energy that was working through the fantasy of relationship instead of the energetic reality of what was happening. And we always have to be very conscientious about that, right? We have to be very conscientious about that because there's like, and this is what we can recognize with like, this is often what we see. I'm not surprised to see this type of energy when we're going through Aquarius season because this is always the note. Like, this is always the note I need to give whenever we're going through Aquarian energy or whenever we're going into Pisces. Okay. And this is a public service announcement to all Aquarians and all Pisceans, okay? I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, okay? Reality is not the place where your dreams get unalived, okay? And the reason I have to say that is because we often see that this is something that Pisceans and Aquarians need to heal from, right? The distaste in watching a dream come to life, because it's the modality of understanding, right? The dream space, it's nice up there, right? Everything is energetically perfect in the dream space. Everything is exactly as one aspires it to be, but nothing exists there, right? Everything lives there, nothing exists there. Existence is messy, okay? Existence is often the modality by which we work towards energetically refining upon things. And the thing is, I keep on seeing, right? I feel like this has happened to a lot of non-binary energy in the relationship of, again, work. And what happens when someone's too much in their fantasy, right? When someone lives too much in their fantasy realm, right, then they get the reality, right? You get the reality of what it actually feels like to move towards something, right? And then they navigate it with a sense of distaste, right? They energetically pull away from it. And this is often what we understand. Like this is, and I want to point this out, and this is important because one of the questions that I am often asked as an educator and as a reader is how to tell the difference between intuition and delusion. Okay. And this is effectively the calibration point. I want to show you that, right? Because intuition, when you follow intuition, it leads to an energetic miracle, right? It's the modality of being able to move towards something. And then as you move towards it, it opens up in an even greater way than you possibly could imagine, right? And this is how we often utilize the discernment point between recognizing between intuition and energetic delusion. But how can we often tell that we're in a space of delusion? The modality by which we articulate that we aspire for something here, and then when we receive it here, we identify that we don't like it, right? That it's not what we energetically expected or intended, right? And that feeling, right? Like that feeling of incorrectness, right? That feeling of the distortion point between what we imagine something will feel like as we're experiencing it in here, because the brain is really bad at navigating pain versus what it actually feels like. When we have a disparity between this and this, that is the calibration of what an actual delusion is. So I feel like that is a lot of the energy that often works through those modalities or experiences by way or by means of recognizing and identifying, right, the wounds that we experience in navigating one another's energetic delusions, right? And those are never easy. And this is why we talk about, like, this is why we do the heavy work of building into energetic integrity, right? Because when we're in a space of integrity, we say what we mean and we mean what we say. And we're energetically patient as we navigate and give each other the modality of that integrity. And so I feel like that's a lot of the work that I see that is happening right now for a lot of the non-binary energy, right? They're working into integrated partnerships by being able to ascertain and recognize energetic integrity. And what's beautiful about integrity, and I feel like it's a word that we need to bring back, it's the modality, and this is what we identify with, the modality by which what we articulate and what we do feels very conducive, right? They're very much in proportionality to alignment. So we've got a lot of that energy there. And I feel like in a certain way, this is a lot of the energy that I keep on hearing. They work to embody it so that they themselves can also recognize it, right? It's not just something that they demand from those outside of the self, but something that they're constantly calibrating for. Now, this brings us back towards masculine energy. And for the heart space of masculine right now, we are going to be reading into we're going to be reading into the we're going to be reading into we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck for the heart space of masculine right now. 3 cards, please, for the heart space of masculine. 3 cards. We've got here the Page of Swords in its reversal. We've got here the Fool card in its reversal. And we also have here the King of Pentacles in its upright. So this is interesting too, because this is also, I'm not surprised to hear the word integrity coming up, especially with like that. Here's the thing with it's that full moon, man. It's that Leo full moon. There's a lot of integrity that we see that's happening right now for a lot of the masculine headspace. And I think that what's important right now, that I mean heart space. And one of the things that I want to see that we see is it takes a lot of bravery to move with energetic integrity, right? Integrity is what you do when nobody's looking, right? That's the other thing about integrity. Integrity is who you are when nobody's energetically gazing upon the self. And that's what's beautiful about it, right? Because and this is what we talk about in relationality to, and this is what's beautiful, right? I want you to understand and sometimes, and this is the best way you know the modality by which you recognize someone with integrity, the space by which you articulate, another person articulates something about someone, and you basically say that person would never do that. Hard stop. You know, the modality by which you understand the comprehensiveness of another in the modality by which you're able to understand and recognize, right? This is what we talk. You want to talk with about masculinity, right? Like when we're talking about masculinity, that's energetic masculinity, right? It's not performative, right? And this is what I keep on getting that's so beautiful for a lot of that masculine energy that's doing that work, which is when we work on being integrated in our masculine, it does not become performative, right? It's not something being like, it's not like, I mean, like maybe at times, like that's fun too, because like, it is Leo energy, but it's the modality by which, right? The strength by which we move through an experience that constantly demands that we prove ourselves, but we constantly be able to hold into our center because we know who we are, right? And this is what I keep on seeing. And this is what's beautiful, right? Like this is the masculinity holding the star of the self within, right? Which is the modality of understanding that when we are truly in our masculinity, we don't need to prove our masculinity to anybody, right? Masculinity is patient. Masculinity is kind. Masculinity does not work to have to effectively hold the energetic line of being able to identify itself, because when you see it, you know it, and it's quiet strength, right? It's the energy of presence. And this is often what we come into. This is often what we talk about when we navigate Leo full moon, like Leo full moon energy, right? Because the moon is often the shadow space, but Leo is the sun. So we often get into the contemplation point of quiet strength when we're navigating a Leo full moon, right? What is actually strong? The strength that one cannot see, right? The strength that moves energetically quietly. And what do we call that? That is energy, that is serenity, right? So the true masculine energy is actually a very serene force, because when you find that energetic serenity within the self, you don't feel the activation in having to effectively prove it, right? You don't have to prove serenity. You don't need to prove serenity in every modality or action. And often you recognize that those that ask you to prove something lack it, right? That those who effectively ask you to prove something are often the energy that lacks it, because how can you prove something that you carry within you? And so I feel like that is a lot of the energy that is almost looking at masculinity and saying to themselves, how can I be the serene force, both in my own experience and in the life of those around me? Because when we feel the experience of building into others' serenity, we become the energetic point of strength. So a lot of that energy I see is like that is the maturation point that we identify and recognize in relationality to coming into that space of energetic wisdom. And I like to see these cards here. The Page of Swords in its reversal with the Fool card in its reversal is a continuation of a lot of the masculine energy healing those inner child wounds. And again, remembering inner child wound does not mean trying to heal something that happened to you when you were a kid. It's healing the version of yourself that thought that they knew everything. This is bringing us back into feminine energy right now. Again, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. We're going to be utilizing for the feminine right now the Tarot del Fuego, 3 cards for the heart space of feminine, please. We have here the 10 of Swords in its reversal. We have here the 8 of Wands in its reversal. And we also have here the Hierophant in its reversal. And I like, oh my gosh, this is like this is some riotous stuff right here. But I want to say like it's in the best way possible because here's the thing about it. It's like it's noisy energy is what I keep on seeing. And I feel like it has a lot to do. Like I would not be going around right now and asking any feminine energy to keep their voice because and I want to describe this. This is a lot of feminine energy that's continuing to understand and recognize, right? The modality of healing from energetic situations and circumstances by which others articulate, or I keep on hearing, feminine is so tired of the false illusion that the ideal feminine is seen and not heard, right? That's not a person, that's an object is what I keep on hearing, right? The modality, I keep on hearing, seen and not heard is often the modality by which another person experiences something that says, I want you to be a non-entity in my experience, please. And this is a lot of the feminine that's saying, you can go like that, your non-entity of what you expect feminine to be is an energetic fantasy and fallacy, right? Because the modality of, right, the understanding, the energetic ego, right, the overactive ego exists in the space of delusion, right? And the energetic overactive ego exists in the space by which the ego does not feel the sense of especially desiring to be energetically challenged. But this is the thing about it. When you are in a space by which you are not able to navigate difficult situations, you are energetically weak, right? And the modality of understanding that the rigor that we put to things allows things to get stronger, right? I feel like this is a lot of the feminine energy that works very fundamentally into the understanding of the things that they are effectively holding that is energetically important. And this is the key point of that, right? It has to do with the realm of the feelings, right? It has to do with the realm of the feelings. As long as your feelings have healthy directions attached to them, and this is the hard thing about feelings that is often difficult to recognize, feelings don't fix anything unless feelings are mutual. If someone has the same feelings as you, anything is possible to heal. But if someone does not feel the same way as you, there is no amount of emotions that you can bring into an experience to change the experience. You are effectively only tolerating it. And this is what we see that a lot of the feminine energy is working through, the understanding of utilizing the recognition that our emotions build into positive discernment, and that our ability to express and communicate our emotions allow, and again, especially the rash, right? These are the the 3 words, right? Right? The rational, reasonable, and sane emotions, right? The rational, reasonable, and sane emotions that we bring to situations. And how do we recognize that a fortified emotion is rational, reasonable, and sane, right? Rational, reasonable, and sane, which means it is something that makes sense. It is something that is proportional to what we ourselves would want to give to a situation, and it is sane in that, in fact, it is energetically logical. So long as our emotional emotions and the things that the emotions are asking for are rational, reasonable, and sane, then those emotions become the shield to help us understand where we are energetically safe versus where we are not. And so this is a lot of the energy that is articulating and recognizing the ability to communicate it better upon those, right? Not holding it in, not harboring the rational, reasonable, and sane emotions, but being able to investigate the emotions to articulate whether they are such that then allows the condition by which another can apply them to see how another person receives them, that gives us indications of the direction by which we feel energetically safe, seen, and supported. So we got a lot of that energy doing that work, and a lot of it is working through like the strength of the communication. So that's a lot of that energy that's working into that positive energetic vibration. Now moving back towards non-binary energy right now, we're going to be utilizing for the space of non-binary heart space. We're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. No, correction. We're going to be utilizing the Tarot of the Divine. We got one card here, bottom of the deck, first card out. Two more, please. We've got here the 10 of Wands in its upright. We have here the King of Wands in its reversal, and the 3 of Wands in its reversal. A lot of 3 of Wand energy out today. A healthy manifestation goal is one that is mutually shared. A healthy manifestation goal is one that is mutually shared. A healthy manifestation goal is one that is mutually shared, which means if you have a manifestation goal, and you've heard me say this before, if you are ever worried about the quality and nature of a manifestation goal that you are trying to bring into experience, say it out loud. And if you feel uncomfortable saying it out loud, that is an alarm bell. If there is something that you are working to manifest that you do not feel comfortable saying out loud to yourself or those around you, that is the red flag. That is the red flag. And this is why I see this energy that works really hard not being subtle. This is the energy. This is the energy that is learned long ago that subtlety brings nothing safe, is what I keep on hearing. Subtlety brings nothing safe, because why would you be energetically subtle in the space by which you are energetically eager, right? A manifestation goal should be a joyful noise, right? That's why we say make a joyful noise, because a manifestation goal should be a joyful noise. It's something that you feel energetically delighted to share to everybody around you. You could not be eager enough to be able to express it, right? And this is why we articulate that manifestation goals are joyful noises, because the space by which we feel energetically eager to talk about it fortifies the fact that it is something that is eagerly and generously shared and expressed. So we see that for a lot of the energy effectively applying or building into that context of being able to articulate upon circumstances and situations of that nature, I just keep on seeing that energy that has worked through. And I keep on hearing, this is why, right? I feel like this is why, I feel like this is a lot of energy that feels energetically wary when another person feels like they're approaching them incognito, is what I keep on hearing. And what do we mean by incognito, which is incognito? Nobody must know, right? And this is what happens. And this is why I feel like a lot of that energy does not appreciate subtle energy, because when another person is not good with themselves, they'll often try to come towards one in an incognito fashion, potentially revealing things. Like I see that this energy often has the modality by which another person comes towards them, goes, I've never told anyone this. You're the only one I've ever shared this with. But this is often why sometimes that energy works into the space of experiencing that as an alarm bell, because the modality by which another person expresses something that another person embodies actively and articulates the fact that they say nobody needs to know or nobody must know is the amplification and articulation on how they have effectively worked to resolve the disproportion of how they feel within to what they experience without. And we work to be energetically comprehensive, right? This is a lot of the energy that often feels like the bravest energy in the room, because their modality of building into the context of going through the energetic rigor, right? Being able to do it not for the sake, and I keep on hearing this, and this is what we keep on getting with a lot of this energy, not doing something because one desires the energetic focus upon the self, but doing what must be done in order to come into the understanding of what could be, right? The work they do to heal their energetic reality, not just for themselves, but for the energy around them. I feel like that's a lot of the energy that has had to work through the fact that often there are those that want to approach them hoping that they will be their healing, hoping that they will be, right? They will be their, I keep wondering, hoping they will be their single point of energetic revelation. But a lot of that energy effectively working through the articulation or amplification of saying to another person, nobody can heal our reality but we ourselves, right? And the modality by which, like navigating the energetic pressure of someone that doesn't feel authentic in their own experience and almost feels like they're broadcasting help me towards us, is not why we cannot save each other, right? That the difference between feeling energetic salvation is something that we work through within, not something that we articulate another to effectively like to do for us. Because if you are not comfortable in your own experience and another person helps to remove you from it, then you become that person often becomes the source by which you project, when all of the reasons by which you cannot effectively resolve the reality around you being the world that you hope it to be, they become the source of change. We have to be our own source of change in our energetic experiences, right? And the ability by which we can effectively help each other is articulated by helping us see ideals, not in the space of effectively delivering those ideals to each other. So I feel like there's something very important there that's coming through in relationality to a lot of that energy, working through modalities and experiences by which they've often felt that that was the force that was energetically projected upon them. Moving back towards masculine energy right now, can I get 3 cards to clarify we're going to be utilizing for the unconscious space of masculine? We're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Ego. 3 cards, please. We've got here 1, 2, 3. Got some cantilever cards too. The 8 of Pentacles in its upright. We also have here the Hanged Man in its upright. And we also have here the 5 of Wands in its upright. So let's talk a little bit about this energy that we're seeing, because this is working through. I feel like there's something really important that we see that masculine is navigating in the space of one's energetic desire. Let's talk a little bit about desire, right? Because desire is a very, very powerful drug. Okay. And here's the thing about it, right? When we are moving, right? And this is the difference. Like, what is the difference between a manifestation goal and desire, right? Desire lights our fire, okay? But integrity brings that desire into the modality by which it is energetically shared, right? And that's what's so beautiful about it. Like when we build into a healthy relationship with the force of desire within us, we understand the nature of such is that it's always seeking, never finding, right? Desire in its own way is ineffable. And the way that we recognize and understand the ineffable quality of desire helps us not to feel tortured by it, but to be able to navigate the space of feeling energetically delighted with it. Here's the thing about it. We talk a lot about shadow work, about healing the shadow self, but we also have to recognize that healing the desire self, and I almost feel like we need a clarification upon it, because often when we talk about the shadow self, it's often the amplification of others that try to recognize that it's a lot of the fear that we navigate. But desire, the modality of the desire that is often working in with the fear is often it's its own force. And the modality, and this is why, right? When we understand, like, and this is what we heal our shadow, and we understand the nature of our desire. And when we understand the nature of our desires, then we understand that there's always something about desire that will never feel completely fulfilled, right? And it's that modality of understanding it and understanding the nature of it that allows for the stabilization of the self. Because when you don't understand that, you will be the most fickle person that anyone has ever met, right? You will be the most fickle person that anyone has ever met. So we navigate our desire with a proportionality of practicality, right? We articulate and recognize what it is that we're effectively setting our intention towards, but not just what it is that we're setting our intention towards, the work that we're effectively applying towards those spaces. And this is what happens, right? And this is why we have to be very conscientious, because this is effectively seeing, this is masculine recognizing what happens when we are energetically clumsy in the realm of our desire, right? When we are clumsy with our desire, we accidentally hurt others with it, right? because another person expressing a desire, right? When we express a desire to another, we should have the amplification and force of activation upon it, right? Our desire becomes verbs. So the modality by which we help another person, like the more that we understand the nature of our desire, the less that we hurt each other with our energetic fire, which is the modality by which we don't articulate something that we long for, but that we never have the intention of moving towards, but the space by which we effectively internalize and recognize what it is we energetically feel versus what it is that we can practically heal. And so this is a lot of the energy of the masculine that understands the significance, why it's so vital. It is the most vital and important thing to be able to feel your emotions, because the ability to be able to understand the nature of what you're feeling helps you effectively recognize and understand how to apply energy towards it that allows it to feel nourishing and sustainable. And this is the modality where I can even see, what if I told you that everything you feel has a nourishing solution towards it? And when does it become nourishing? When it becomes a manifestation goal that can be mutually shared, right? This is what we talk about, the fire that we feel within ourselves, the energetic desire that then we find a nourishing solution towards that becomes an energetic gift to those around us, right? This is the energetic space by which we're able to apply something in a way by which something that feels like longing becomes the source of nourishment. So that ability of effectively working through that, I feel like that's a lot of the energy of the masculine that's getting better at sitting with their feelings, right? And that modality of being able to sit with the feelings helps one to understand how to nourishingly, to put something nourishing towards them, right? So again, it's not the masculine that says, I long for this. They're saying, how can I nourish this? But it's hard work. It's hard for first, you have to let yourself feel things. Now, continuing, moving towards feminine, and we're going to be utilizing the tarot of the divine for the unconscious of the feminine. 3 cards, please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. We've got the Page of Wands in its reversal. We've got the 4 of Cups in its reversal. And we also have the Page of Coins in its upright. So we've got a lot of page energy. Lot of page energy in the unconscious of the feminine. And here's the thing about it, okay? And feminine, we got, like, I feel like there's something about the feminine here that we have to recognize, okay? The modality, like the Page of Wands with the Page of Coins and the 4 of Cups in its reversal, which is often, I feel like there's often those modalities or experiences, and I need to describe this. This is why it's important for feminine to build into a sense of patience upon things. And I need to point out, this is feminine recognizing what actual patience means. Patience has never meant, patience has never meant waiting. Patience has never meant waiting. Patience does not mean waiting. And anybody who told you that patient was waiting was fabricating that. Okay? Patience and waiting are different things. Waiting is an act of stillness. It's becoming stone, right? It's not doing anything. Patience is being energetically productive as one waits for something to grow. Patience is being productive as one waits for something to grow. That's all I keep on hearing in the unconscious of feminine. Patience is being productive as one waits for something to grow. Because when you recognize that our manifestations, and this is why we have to let go, we have to relinquish control when we're moving towards a manifestation goal, right? The ability of understanding that a healthy manifestation changes you in the accordance of moving towards it, and the ability to effectively see more and learn more as one comes into the understanding of what it is that one is trying to do, right? This is a lot of the energy that is healing from the frustration. Because often what happens when you feel like you're waiting for something? I bet you get really angry, right? I bet you get really frustrated. Yeah, because waiting is waiting is awful. right? Waiting is is latent. Waiting is a latent state, right? But when when we're working towards patience, it's a conversation of saying, how can I let this grow more? Right? How can I let this grow more? How can I let this go more? How can I let this grow more? How can I let this go more? Right? Building into the energetic momentum by which we effectively apply towards the things that we energetically care about. And what's hard about that, and this is the hard thing, right? This is the hard thing that a lot of feminine energy has to recognize. The modality of seeing, right? Those that are energetically deep within their ego will often have a hard time letting go of control upon things. So the modality by which we see, right, something that feels like it's blossoming or something that's energetically growing around us, that feels like that energetic flourishment point, and that ability of being able to feel the energetic excitement, right? It's the space by which, right, the modality by which we're able to do something magnificent is often calibrated by our own ability of allowing ourselves to be able to go with the energetic flow. Like this is what we talk about with flow state. If you want a flow state, you got to learn to let go, right? Because you can't be sitting there and being like, I need to control, I need to control this. Right? Right? When you're trying to do that, you have to allow the capacity of the experience to take you into a breathtaking place. And so that modality or experience of allowing that energetic process to occur, right? This is a lot of the I feel like this is a lot of the feminine that works through the context that says, right, that when we work to release and I keep wondering, when we work to release our energetic controlling tendencies, it's letting go of control in the best way possible because we focus that control inwards, not outwards, right? It's the modality by which we feel our energetic center as we feel a lot of energy moving around us, right? It's a lot of that, it's that breathtaking stuff that we experience that we effectively stay strong within, right? Because when we feel energetically stabilized, right? What happens when you feel stabilized? You try to exert control within, not without, right? You express discernment without, and you feel control within. So that's what I keep on seeing in a lot of that energy because I see that a lot of that energy is articulating and saying, being grounded in the best way possible allows one to be able to flow in the best way possible. Because when you're feeling energetically grounded and you feel that force of intention move through, when you feel that manifestation coming on, right? You don't start feeling upset and saying, I'm losing energetic control of it. You say, I am holding strong in terms of my own personhood. So I feel like that's a lot of the energy that is articulating that, either working upon that upon the self or trying to express that to those around the self, right? Trying to express that to those around the self that may be having difficulty being able to energetically understand it is what I keep on seeing, right? The force of control we experience is within, it's not without, because that is what allows the space by which something can energetically flourish. Now, that for non-binary energy right now, 3 cards, and we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck for the unconscious of non-binary. We've got here 1, 2, 3. Wow, man. Oh, we got to talk about this. 10 of Wands in its upright, Judgment card in its reversal, and the Magician card in its reversal. We got to talk about this double 10 of Wands energy. And this is what's hard because this is connecting very deeply into the feminine experience I'm seeing for this non-binary energy. I feel like I told you a lot of this energy is often in the context of feeling like they're ahead of the curve, right? That they often, I keep on hearing, uh, in like selfless action that is focused upon the self is what I keep on hearing, right? The modality of stepping up, not for the self, but for the energetic benefit of those around the self. And I feel like often this energy has experienced wounds in relationality to when one is moving something forward. You are often the amplification of others' projections. Never will you be projected upon more than when you're trying to move something in a positive direction. I'm going to say that again. Never will you be projected upon more than when you're trying to move something in a positive direction. Because often you are in the space by which you see what the energetic problem is. Often you are in the space by which you are identifying and recognizing the energetic hurdle. And this is why I keep on seeing for a lot of the energy that truly knows these energies, they know that they are often articulated as the energetic problem in others' experiences because they bring another person's problem to light. They often are identified as the problem in others' experiences because they shine a light on another person's issue, right? And that's what's difficult about it because when we're in a healing space, we delight, right? We delight in the recognition of being able to identify and recognize what it is that we're working on doing better, right? Because the ability of being able to see a weakness is what allows us to become energetically strong within it. So a lot of that modality or the experience of effectively working through a lot of those energetic hurdles, and even in the modality by which they work through things, right? The conscientious effort that they apply, it's often, I keep on hearing, when you're trying to move something forward, it's often thankless stuff. It's often the modality or experience by which another person will frequently misperceive your energetic intentions or often be in the space of potentially articulating that you are effectively like you're effectively doing something different, but in the modality by which different is better if something isn't energetically working. So I feel like that's why I see that for a lot of the counterpart energy around these energies, it is very protective because it's almost like I feel like this is energy that has counterpart that has recognized the energy that tells on itself when another complains upon a person because it's a modality by which another person says this is they're making something energetically difficult and another person saying difficult or stronger, right? Difficult or stronger, right? Because often when something is getting bigger better, we have to get stronger. And the modality by which we feel that energetic point of strength is the energetic activation conversation that says, are you, and this is what we talk about, right? You can't say, I want a manifestation to happen. I want a manifestation to happen. And someone being like, okay, cool. You ready for change? No. What? I want a manifestation to happen. I just don't want change. And you don't truly want a manifestation, right? If you want a manifestation, get ready, right? Get ready to feel energetically stretched. Get ready to feel that transformation process because it's a modality by which we navigate change, calibrates for how much we can move towards our manifestation goals. A healthy manifestation changes you in the process of moving towards it, which is often why, right, the difference between someone that always articulates upon the fact that they desire a manifestation, but yet it never occurs versus the energy that's doing the hard work every day to try to move closer and closer towards it. So I feel like for a lot of the energy, doing and facilitating upon that work, it's not easy. It's frustrating, right? It often, I feel like this is the energy that often gets vexed in the space by which another person articulates upon what it is they desire. And then there they are. They energetically arrive with the thing that is energetically needed to change it. And then only there, right? Only there do you see the difference in the limitation between what a person truly says that they aspire for versus the amount of work that they are ready to effectively do in order to facilitate moving towards it. And so I keep on seeing for a lot of this energy, when they recognize and realize that this is why I feel like this energy is often in the modality by which they're very hard on themselves. Because I keep on seeing that when we find our own integrity, then we can see the shape of others' integrity with more clarity. But it's sometimes a painful view. Bottom of the deck on these readings for masculine, we're using the Tarot del Fuego, Five of Pentacles, right? There's a lot. So a lot of this five energy that we're seeing in the unconscious of the masculine is working through mistakes of the past. And I'm going to say this for masculine energy. If you're looking back on past situations with new eyes, congratulations. That's wisdom, right? The modality and the experience by which we're able to effectively articulate and perceive how we can do better is literally the force that shows us how we can be the force of change in our own experiences, right? We have to be able to forgive ourselves in order to heal, right? And the modality by which we work to forgive, and remembering, forgive is not a latent state. Forgiveness is what we're willing to change. So, the ability of understanding that as you're changing, you are actively forgiving yourself is the modality by which you're becoming the person that would not make the energetic mistakes that you feel like you are carrying, right? Don't be hard on yourself in relationality to what occurred. Identify and recognize how you are changing in order to truly forgive and free yourself from that past experience. While for feminine energy right now, we're going to be utilizing the tarot of the divine, Queen of Cups, bottom of the deck. Here's the funny thing with feminine, right? And this is why feminine has to be so good with their emotions. Your emotions will protect you. Your emotions will make or break relationships. Expressing your emotions in a bad relationship will break the relationship. Rest assured. A shadow of the doubt. Emotions do not fix things, right? When we recognize emotions' jobs are not to fix things, so long as we're doing the work to make sure that our emotions are rational, reasonable, and sane, right? Rational, reasonable, and sane. When we express and communicate them with directions attached to them, they will make or break a relationship. Because in the healthy relationship, that will be seen as the highest gift. That will be seen as the highest aspiration. You will be someone's blessing on legs. When you are able to communicate in a rash, reasonable, and sane way, absolutely the most incredible person one could ever be in relationship with. But for someone that does not want to do the work to be in a relationship, for someone that is looking for someone to effectively caretake instead of reciprocate, for someone that is looking for something that has no effective commitment to it, that will be the exact reason by which someone will articulate that they are leaving. They will say, you ruined it. See what you did? You ruined a perfectly good thing by bringing those emotions in here. And I'm going to say this right now. Emotions do not damage healthy things so long as the emotions are healthy. Emotions never damage good things so long as the emotions are fortified and being rational, reasonable, and sane. While for non-binary energy right now, bottom of the deck, look at that, lot of Two of Swords right now. And this is a lot of the energy, right? I feel like this is a lot of this non-binary energy that says, I've given up trying to explain to someone the power of change. I just recognize whether they're ready to do it. This is the energy that says that this is the energy that has been wounded in trying to help another person through their own energetic hurdles. You cannot save someone from the cage that they put themselves in. And the worst part is that if someone is in the cage of themselves and they ask you to save them, 9 times out of 10, they'll try to pull you in before you pull them out. That's just the sad truth of it. Because the modality by which another person says they cannot escape is the choice that they have made. And the modality by which they articulate that another person needs to save them, 9 times out of 10, they're going to pull them into the mess, not pull them out. Because there's nothing stopping them. If the only thing stopping another person from being able to be in an unhealthy situation is the fact that they have created the false illusion that they cannot effectively move away from it, then that is the force of intention by which they will project that you are the negative in what everyone else claims is a positive, but which they're communicating to you is a negative, right? The modality, this is what we talk about. This is why the energy works so carefully in navigating and being able to recognize what actual delusion is. Because actual delusion is seeing somebody that is existing in an experience by which everybody thinks is perfectly fine, but which another person is broadcasting to another about how miserable they are or how unhappy they are, right? That is somebody in a delusional mindset because what's happening in here does not match the vibration of what they're telling everyone out there. And so for this energy to be able to articulate and recognize the true force and power of delusion, right? That is what true delusion is. True delusion is not going towards one's dreams. Like that is intuition. Following dreams and doing the things necessary in order to achieve them is intuition. Delusion is articulating a situation by which another person tells everybody that everything is just great and wonderful, but then they communicate to a single person how energetically awful something is or how it feels for them to be in it, right? And that is effectively identifying someone in a delusional mindset because they are the force of delusion in their own experience, right? The fact that they're not articulating their needs in a healthy fashion, the fact that they're not letting others know how they feel, but the fact that they're energetically harboring it and then seeing somebody that they feel like they can energetically express it to. And this is why I keep on hearing this is the energy that has grown very conscientious of love that is in whispers, right? Of the love that is in whispers that says, you like, shh, right? Because that is the modality by which another person articulates and states upon the space by which they themselves are putting that application of effort in relationality to what they're working through. And I keep on seeing progress happens in many forms, right? There are some conditions and circumstances by which another person has to be in a space by which they cannot be their authentic self, not to articulate the fact that there aren't situations that require that, but the ability of being able to see, right? The ability to be able to see the pathwork by which another person recognizes that something can change is the difference, right? Is the difference between identifying the sense of being energetically patient in relationality to what the conditions that one is waiting to achieve versus the modality of somebody that is working through a delusional mindset by which they are constantly broadcasting one thing externally, but saying something very different intimately. So I feel like that's a lot of the energy that often feels energy coming towards them in that way, but having to set the healthy boundary in terms of what they can do. But even in the space by which they do it, know that another person will project upon them negatively for holding those healthy boundaries. That is where we find that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank everyone for being here and experiencing these readings. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who was a part of our recent tarot class on the world card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, February 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards in the Sword Suite. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. As a paid subscriber, you will also have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. It's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning the next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it, and you'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my stack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class system. You'll also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my mystic meditation articles there, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically in the cards. Just wrote one recently on navigating this full moon in Leo that we just experienced. And I want to let you guys know that on top, I also would encourage you to head over to my stack to learn more about a very special retreat. Registration for that retreat is closing this week. If you would like to become a part of it, I'd like to invite you to join me August 8th through 13th as we will be traveling to Italy to study the tarot in the location by which the tarot was first documented to be discovered. We'll be sharpening our tarot skills and learning more about the culture that allowed the tarot to be able to grow and thrive. And everyone who participates in that retreat will also be receiving a complimentary mentorship class with me. If you want to learn more about that and register, you'll also be able to receive a $200 discount this week only, and you can find that all over on my tree that has Binks in it in my Lio, as well as on my stack. Finally, I want to let guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or biweekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages, which is a package of 30 minutes, again, weekly or biweekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your journey at a budget, and as well as my dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or biweekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.